nonstop about this class, this part of security, because it is the most fun. You have all the other securities, you know, in the whole realm of things. And again, IT is huge. They need security people, and the girls out there, hello, especially need to jump in, because the field is wide out there for you guys and ready for harvest, you know. So I encourage anybody and everybody to be able to do this. I just got, not too long ago, I believe it was AT&T. I would go on to AT&T and look for jobs, security jobs or whatever. They had advertisements for security people all over the world. And I was like going, oh, I'm going to Ireland, you know. I'm going to be a security pro out in Ireland, and, you know, it'd be great. So yeah, there's all kinds of different types of things that can be done with this and are done with this. And like I said, this is one of my favorite classes of all times. Generally, when I do the format, you know, EC-Council is very, very picky about how you present the materials, and you know, well enough. It's not that the information is all that new, because everybody knows about social engineering and about man-in-the-middle attacks and DDoS attacks and all the various different malwares and worms and viruses and, you know, Trojans and everything like that. So the information is not necessarily proprietary, but they do have, and you have to sign an NDA before class, in fact. They do the steps, the pen testing steps and the tools and all, you know, that goes into it. And it's a wonderful class. And by Wednesday, I kind of let everybody go. You know, it's like, hey, you know, we bring in the laptops, we do everything. And it's always been interesting, because Wednesday is the day I say, okay, so we have enough tools underneath our belt. We've got all these different types of things. Go ahead and hack away, you know. So they hack each other and they have a blast, an absolute blast doing that. And it's very, very, very much fun. I love it. But one time the class hacked my Wi-Fi, didn't secure it. And well, I did, it is secured, but anyways, we bring Wi-Fi in so we could do testing on site, and we could have Wi-Fi, and somebody hacked it, you know, and changed the name of it, of the SID and stuff. It was fun, you know. Then I had to go in and protect it a little bit better, but okay, a couple more minutes. You guys, it's good to see you here. I mean, it's Friday afternoon, or no, Thursday. Oh, I'm all messed up with the time. It's Thursday and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know what time it is for you guys, but it must be, if you're still at home and you're, you know, you're doing the coronavirus thing or whatever. It's good to see you, though. And all right. Again, the chat is up. I can see the chat. I will probably refrain from answering questions until the end of it. I don't talk very long, but this is just kind of a, if you want to do CEH, if you want to look into what a CEH does, Certified Ethical Hacker, it just is one of the classes that I would totally suggest. Doing it on your own, yes, I mean, absolutely, but you don't get the labs, you don't get the basic, you know, the tools, the setup, the everything that you would in one. Actually, there are 2 books, and the lab book is huge. So it gives you the step-by-step information for being able to perform pen tests, for how to use the various different tools. So if you use Kali or which was Backtrack Linux, you know, you have a lot of tools in there. It's generally a hacker's or pen tester's software. I kind of went off the Kali path for a little bit to Parrot. Parrot is a really good pen test hacking OS also. There are many, many different versions of pen testing, hacking type of Linux products out there if you are looking at that, looking to do that. But yeah, it's really fun. And again, lots and lots and lots of tools. And the information, again, is proprietary. Before I can really do show a slide or do anything like that, I have to have an NDA in my hand signed, and then I can actually go in and talk about this. And again, the information is not proprietary. I mean, part of the information is not proprietary. It's all about what the hacker would do if they were going to hack into your network. Okay, so we talk about, let me see if I can get this. Oh, that's me, Christi Sanders. Hi. These are some of my certifications, and I thought I would put my CEH certified logo out there. I don't get to use it very much, so I really enjoy being able to have that. And I think my most, I don't know, I think the proudest one that I have in there is the CEI, which is the EC-Council's instructor for CEH, and it's just kind of one of those proud moments for me that I was actually, you know, able to do that. So that's me. I teach Microsoft classes. I teach CompTIA classes and stuff. But yeah. All right. So looking into this, and I can continue on with what I was saying. Like I said, I could talk all day and night and the next day about all this. But when you look at CEH, at the certification, you go, what in the world, you know, would encompass me to be able to get a certification around this? And being a certified ethical hacker, now, to me, that's an oxymoron in itself. An ethical hacker, so you know the different hats, right? They came out of the Old West stories, the black hat, the white hat, black hat being the bad guy, the white hat being the good guy, okay? And then the gray hat being in between those. And that was Old West. I didn't make those up, but they do use that in any of the security classes that you're going to be able to have, because they differentiate each one of those as being, you know, the black hat possibly being somebody who's going to go in and damage, steal, do all kinds of different types of things in a network. And the white hat being the certified ethical hacker, the one who's going to be the one who sits behind, you know, the firewall and the router and everything else, and says, okay, these are the tools that the hacker uses. If they use these tools, then we can actually play with and get to know those tools and know how to actually set them up so that they can't get through. So it's offensive. And it basically is a matter of being able to know those tools and know what could possibly happen in there. And so an ethical hacker is someone who scans the networks looking for different vulnerabilities. Those vulnerabilities are anything in your equipment, okay, routers, switches, all your firewalls, everything, computers, old legacy equipment like Windows 7 equipment or different things like that. They are not being supported now, and they don't have patches out there to make you secure. So any legacy device like that could possibly, and does, have a lot of vulnerabilities to it. So you need to make sure that, you know, you've got all those things up to date. So you're gonna be testing, you're gonna be sniffing, you're gonna be looking at everything as it goes through your network and making sure that, you know, everything is kosher, and you know you've done your job. So examining patch installments and actually go in and make sure they're up to date. And that's a big one. It's a huge one. In fact, when you take the test, when they talk about your web servers, when they talk about your different file and print servers and all the various different types of devices that you've got in, including your malware, okay, is it up to date? And that's one thing that you need to make sure that it is up to date. The installations are clean, you know, and there are so many great ways to be able to do that now. When I started in networking, it was like in the late 80s and early 90s, they used to have patches for NT4, yes, and Windows 95 and 98. And basically what we did was we threw the patch out into the production network. And we said, well, we'll know by the amount of help desk calls that we get if it worked or not. So, you know, we used everybody as beta testers at that point in time. And not obviously the production equipment or the manufacturing, you know, computers and stuff like that, but it was fun. And now we've got virtual machines that we can actually go out and take a snapshot or a checkpoint with it and be able to have that in case that patch doesn't work. And all we do is revert that. So how do we secure those? What is it we do for that? Okay. Okay, sorry. We have a waiting room and nobody showed up, so I'm hoping that somebody is able to put those in there. Okay, attempts to evade an IPS, an IDS, a firewall, and honeypots to ensure that they're all properly working. So we go in and we test those things. We go and we do port scans on firewalls, on, you know, on the various different defenses. The IDS, intrusion detection system, make sure that's working. Are we getting alerts we need to be able to get? And the IPS, is it stopping and it's track what's going on, okay? The firewalls obviously are going to be an extremely important thing to be able to have the rules down that you need and, you know, and not need in there. Honeypots to ensure that all are working properly, and a honeypot or a honey net to be able to set that up and have that in your DMZ or your perimeter network so that it is up and running. I don't know if you know Mr. Robot, the first season of Mr. Robot. If you haven't seen it, I would highly suggest it. Mr. Robot, I think it was the very first episode, he was a white hat hacker, okay, during the day. Basically, he worked for a security company, white hat. He helped to be able to prevent, protect, et cetera, and then he goes home at night and then is a black hat hacker, basically hacking people. So he's kind of the gray hat type thing. And he would confront people who were doing different naughty things out there and have them, you know, the FBI or the police take him out in handcuffs after he presented his evidence to them. But he got caught in a honey pot or a honey net in the very first place. He saw that, okay? A hacker will know that. A script kiddie would not necessarily know that, or a newbie or anything like that. So the honeypot is there to catch somebody, and when they do, then, you know, it's kind of, you know, the reports, monitoring, and different things like that happen to see how or what kind of coding they're using against the network. So it's very fun to be able to see those things. Do a deep search in the network, and a couple of times as a system admin, my bosses would come to me and say, you need to look through so-and-so's documents. And I'm like, do I want to know what I'm looking for? No, you can't know that. So you have to dig through a lot of different types of things. And it says digging through digital trash bins, for chat information, for passwords, for crucial information that could make your organization vulnerable. You know, you have to actually go in and make sure that the emails that are coming in and going out, the DLP is working from the inside out. You need to make sure that all of those things are working, which is, you know, something that, yes, it's kind of fun. Okay. All right. With, you know, the you help handle issues related to online employee fraud and theft of systems on laptops. So if it's a security issue, you're generally on the committee, okay? And the CSERT basically. And basically with the cameras, with the various different types of devices for monitoring, with all those things, and especially with like, you know, hashing and different things like that. I mean, so somebody could be going in and doing, passing a steganography, okay, through an email. They've got a picture, they've been being passed back and forth. I mean, it's like, oh, you know, what a cute little dog or something, you know, I wonder what's going on with that picture. And it could be going back and forth to these people's email. When I first heard about steganography, it was in the mid 80s, late 80s, and I went to a security conference. And the security guy that was there, he was amazing, said, okay, so terrorists, you know, are using your baby's pictures to pass, you know, information back and forth. And I'm like, how dare they, you know? And then he explained the steganography and stuff. And I thought, wait a minute, Christy, your baby's pictures aren't out there, so you don't have to be, you know, too up in arms. But it got me very curious, so I started doing, you can go and you can download free stag programs off the internet and just start passing back and forth a picture, you know, to your family, friends, or something like that. The thing that they would need is the program that you're using, the hash method that you're using, and then be able to unhash it on their end. And they would see the message within the picture. It's kind of like sending a document that you print up, and then you go in, you do Control-A to click, you know, choose everything, and then turn it into white font. And you're passing this document back and forth, and when somebody gets it, it's like, what the heck? There's nothing on here. Why would they give me a white a blank document? Then you go in, change the font, and everything comes, you know, into red or green or purple or whatever it is you change the font color to. But that's a lot like stag, is basically it's hiding information in the bits. The picture especially is a very good one, but you can do it to music and videos and all kinds of different types of programs. So it's, you know, it's very cool to learn about it, and it actually is very cool to experiment with also. But now, one thing about this is I didn't discuss is there is a line that's drawn in the sand, okay? And it's kind of like those, it's an invisible wall that you actually walk through, and it's called the legal wall. So when these pen testers, when these companies that are CEH, basically, they go out and somebody calls them and says, we want you to do a pen test on our network. So how much of a pen test? You know, if they want a black box test, everything from the inside or the outside the street into, they want tested. So their physical security, their operational, you know, digital, everything, okay? So when that happens, there is a permission, you know, a document that's signed, and it's called a rules of engagement, okay, an ROE. And basically, it describes what you can and what you cannot do. So if you cross that line into what you cannot do, they can actually sue you. they'll know a lot more information, but they could sue you. And then there are all those companies that go out and do pen testing. And there was one company in a courtroom, they were doing their pen tests, they were doing everything that they needed to be able to do. And they went out and were in the courtroom, and the police came and they arrested them and they went to jail. And they said, well, wait a minute, we've got this rules of engagement, it's signed, et cetera, et cetera. So, and they weren't even crossing the line. So sometimes it gets a little bit tricky, and it just always is on the, you know, the back, hopefully right here in front of you, and you don't go through that, you know, that wall. But it's always fun. I mean, you know, you can look, you could go in with the tools that you have, and you can go and you can look, not legally, but so once you get into that computer, once you get into that server, once you get past the firewall, you're actually knocking on a jail cell wall. And we tried to stress that a lot, because that's not your certified ethical hacking. It's someone who actually just goes in and hacks. That would probably be a gray hat hacker. Checking for sniffy networks. Working at cracking passwords. If you feel like there's, you know, there are people who have a very easy password in there, there are many different methods that you can use. Cracking wireless encryptions, hijacking websites, web servers, and hijacking applications in there. So, you know, those things are what a CEH does. And in CEH, we go through the book on everything, and the intro to ethical hacking is first. Obviously, we go through the attack vectors and the different types of threats that you've got. We look at laws and standards and abiding by all those different types of things, whether you work for the government or, you know, Coca-Cola or something like that. There's always going to be those legal type of, you know, regulations, standards, whatever it is. And then we look at the 5 steps of hacking. And with that, then, if you're going to do that, okay, you're going to do that to your company so you can find out what's out there. So in recon or footprinting, you go out and the World Wide Web is there, okay? Google is there. You can do Google hacking and search for things about your company, which is always a good idea. And find out what's out there. Find out what somebody could find out. And that is your recon. You know, it doesn't even need to be, you know, passive, you know, digging through a dumpster. You don't have to do that. Just those types of things that will get you the information that you need. The concepts of recon footprinting, we look at the tools, and then we look at the countermeasures. Behind each one of these chapters are the proprietary information, okay? That's the reason that you will, besides the information, all the information is good, and we have fun. But it's the steps that you need to do in your network to protect your network. And they lay it out, and that's the proprietary part of that. That's worth the information, that's worth the class. So it just is laid out, spelled out. Scanning networks, you know, again, the concepts, the tools, and the techniques in which you would do that. Vulnerability, okay, what are the concepts? How do we do that? What are the tools that we use? What are the solutions for those types of vulnerabilities? And then system hacking, cracking passwords, elevating privileges. And then a big one is covering your tracks. So we go in and we make sure, you know, if you go in, you hack a network, you do whatever it is, and you go into the event log and you delete a day's worth of event log usage, that's not going to help you at all. They're going to know somebody was in there just because of that. So what can we do to, and what do we erase to be able to make sure that nobody knows that we were out there. Nobody knows, you know, and we've actually gone in, and in the system hacking, we elevate privileges and create a backdoor. If we're actually testing these things out, we create a backdoor. What can we do with that backdoor? And if you actually deleted the whole event log, they're going to be looking for things like that. So, you know, all the malware threats that we've got now, don't click the links, right? The guy who actually created the links, okay, in the very beginning, way back when, he decided that it wasn't profitable anymore. So he went out and decided to make something more profitable, okay? I'm not going to tell you anything more than there is a website that you can go to, probably no place that the normal person could find or would want to find. And you could go in and order the type of ransomware, okay, that you can actually use to be able to deliver to somebody, the delivery system, how much you want to charge to get their files decrypted, and all those various different types of things. If I say pay in Bitcoin, would you know where you were? Then pay in Bitcoin to be able to get that program immediately delivered to you, so you can actually put it in a package and start delivering it to various different, you know, people, systems, etc. And unfortunately, the hospitals, the police stations, the government, you know, they need their data. And it takes approximately 48 hours to be able to fix a machine that's been, you know, encrypted to the point where, you know, it's like it takes a long time to decrypt it. And so they'll pay big, which is very sad. And that's why it works. But lots of different types of things that we talk about, the various different types of malware, the viruses, the worms, all the ports, networking. So it's a really good thing to know who should actually do this boot camp. And it really is anyone interested in securing networks to know what's going on, to know what's happening. And if you're an IT guy and you've been put on the, you know, the team to be able to secure a little bit better, or if you've seen job prospects out there by the, you know, the government or, you know, different contracting types of things, and you need to know the various different types of things for securing networks, always a good idea. Somebody who has Net Plus, Security Plus underneath your belt, because it's 2 steps above Security Plus. So you'll need to know your networking for sure. And then you'll need to know Security Plus, be able to get some of that knowledge underneath your belt. And then CEH. So anyone who is interested in doing pen testing, vulnerability testing, different things like that. And I would recommend this boot camp to anybody just because of the information. I love doing these because as a person in these days, in these times of everything being digital, everything being out there, I mean, it's lovely and I love it. I've been working with this again, teaching for 20 plus years and working in the industry off and on for, you know, many, many years. So I do really love this information, and to secure your Wi-Fi at home, your family, the devices that you're using, all the various different types of things that come out of this is super worthwhile information. So the boot camp generally lasts 5 days, and if it's in the daytime, it could last possibly 7 days without the testing. But the boot camp generally, involves a test in the last day. And you can always do training at the facility. We come out to wherever it is. We go to a lot of military bases to do a lot of training. And there's always the the web meetings, the web classes. And, you know, obviously it's something that we do quite a bit nowadays and have done through the coronavirus and all like that. So I just, I love this. This is my favorite all-time class, because not only about the information, I mean, we all know about different things. I always, you know, look at a system admin, you know, even if he's like a wiki, you know, you could go to him for anything, having blinders on. And this is how much we see of the network. This is how much of the network we need to be able to keep our systems up and running, okay? But there is the 360 view of all information, all kinds of different things that you could be doing. In classes, I have system admins go in and say, well, I've never heard of that before, I'm going to try it. And it's just interesting that education leads to more knowledge, and more knowledge leads to more information. You know, it's like, now I don't know what I don't know, and I know the knowledge is out there, so what do I do now? You know, so it's fun. You can do YouTube, and you can do, you know, all the various different, you know, Twitch and Twitter and whatever is out there so far. But all the extra information is inside a class, and we love to deliver that to you, and it's very, very much fun for us. So in order to get a hold of us, you can do training at atg.com, or you can phone 404-252-9611, and you can follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with the at ATG Learning, you know, various different ways. But if there are questions, I've got my chat up here. I would love to be able to answer some of your questions, and I can do that for, you know, as long as you need me to be able to do it. But I love this class. This is a good one. All of them are good. Depends on what it is that you're doing. But security is my avenue that I've always pursued. Any questions? Chat is open. It's good to see you. If you guys want to chat instead of doing the written chat, I'd be more than happy to, you know, you can undo your mic or unmute it and talk to me. Oh, here you go. Good. All right. It's good to see you guys. Oh, hello. My goodness. All right. My question is, I live in Istanbul, overseas. Okay. I would imagine that, and a rookie. Okay. I love rookies. SG, how long is a test typically? The test is up to 4 hours. Believe me, you don't need that long to be able to finish it, and it's up to 125 questions, but you don't ever get that many generally. But you would think it was a difficult test, but I find this test to be fairly simple. Now, you know, somebody is going to report that to EC-Council and say, hey, you know, you need to toughen up your tests. No, they really don't. But it's just one of those things that, okay. Maury, I don't know how to do that. Maybe Lindsay can. Okay. Anybody else? What book would you recommend for self-study? the CyBEX books are always good. Okay, they're always really, really good books. But again, this is one of those that you get tools and the steps for pen testing each one of the various different things that we go through. And so I would really recommend a classroom type or a class type situation. So you have those advantages, but you know, by all means, you know, CyBEX books are really good books for self-study. Okay. Oh, you're welcome. I hope it was informative for you and gives you a little bit of an idea of what CEH involves. You have Sec Plus. Is it necessary to have Net Plus? No, not necessarily. But we do a lot of networking, and that part of it, you know, the firewall rules and different things like that. It's always good to have that knowledge behind you, but that can always be gained also as you go through these. Dr. Jamie, thank you. I appreciate you being here. And Clean, thank you. Like online classes, yes. Online classes are always a really good one. And of course, if you're in Istanbul, it might be a necessary one. Unless you want to pay for me to come out there, I would not mind doing that. All right. Thank you, you guys. I try not to hold you too long, but the recording is going to be there, and you will be provided a link to it. And take down the information on the slide just so that basically, you know, you'll have that information. But I always enjoy meeting with you guys and seeing what you think. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Not getting everyone again. I can tell you more. All right. Yes, it is. It's the official EC-Council training. Yes, it is the official. I'm a CEI, so I can actually deliver it. Yeah, good books, good labs, super good labs. So yes, it is the official information, which is why I have to have you sign an NDA before I can say a word, which is always interesting. I think, whoa, this is kind of cool. We probably should sign a rules of engagement also, because people, you know, when we get the tools and they learn how to hack, and so they start hacking each other, which I don't mind at all. I mean, put those tools to the test. And so it's always interesting. Okay, so how many online classes for the very beginners to get to the level of professional to earn some money from this? It depends on how good you are. It depends on how quick you're learning. I would imagine that you know a lot of this already. I mean, just living in this world, we get emails, you know, that have links on them. Do you know not to click the link? You know, and even if it looks official, then basically you can check the email address and say, well, you know, that Apple receipt was not from Apple. It was from some idiot, you know, trying to get my credentials or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of common knowledge in there. And basically, we just need to learn how to use the tools in order to be able to get that running. So I would say if you're actually looking, you know, to get into this, you know, it just is, you know, a good one to have a little bit of basic knowledge. This is because if a candidate does not have the experience, they require an official training before you can take the test. No. No, you don't have to have official training. I would suggest it highly. But to be honest with you, no, you don't have to have the official. But you do, okay, so if you do want to do self-study because you live in Istanbul or whatever, and you want to take the test, there is an application that you have to fill out and pay like $125 or something like that for the application fee. And you'll need to have some security experience behind you also. I believe it's 2 to 3 years, and then have somebody endorse you with the application for doing that. So it's a little bit more than just self-study and then go take the test. But yeah. Yep, you're welcome. All right, it looks like nobody else is gonna say anything. So I appreciate you being here with us. I really do. And wherever IT takes you, I go in the niche that you find the most fascinating to you. A lot of people take, you know, the networking with CCNA, Cisco, firewalls, and different things. You could go into system administration, you know, be able to do Active Directory with Microsoft or anything else, and then into security, which is my thing. How much is the training? You'll need to get a whole, I'm just the instructor. I do not get mixed up in the business side of it, but you can call 404-252-9611 or email training@atglearning.com. I am very passionate about this. And we do have a lot of fun in classes. It just, it's life. And when you talk about IoT, oh my gosh, you guys. So I started using Parrot because there were a lot more tools than Kali, and on the tools and the various different things that you can do, there was hacking a car tools. And I'm like, I knew, you know, I knew when they started putting computers in cars that was going to happen. I'm like, all right, well, let's see what we could do with this. Hacking my own car, of course, you know, I didn't cross that line. So anyway, yeah. Oh, if it has a if it has an IP address, yes, you can hack it. So anyway. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting and say thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And I really do hope that I see you in class. I'll remember all your names. You guys take care. Be safe out there. And you're welcome. And just enjoy life.